Welcome to AI for Founders. I'm Ryan Estes. Today's episode starts with the problem every founder knows too well. You finally get a user into your product and then watch them get completely lost. They bounce, they churn, or they email support with the dreaded, hey, how do I actually use this? That onboarding black hole costs SaaS companies billions, and Alex and Andy from Quarterzip.ai say it's time to kill activation debt forever. These two founders sold their last AI company, immediately spun into their next one, and created an entirely new onboarding modality, a real-time AI voice agent that sees your screen, talks to you, guides your steps, and can literally move your cursor for you. They've onboarded users across the entire product ecosystem without a single line of engineering integration and booked 250 demos in 48 hours at launch. Today, we dig into the origin story behind Quarterzip, why onboarding is the hidden growth lever no one ever talks about, how AI design is shifting from text boxes to vision-driven voice-guided workflows, remote co-founding across San Francisco and Australia, and what comes after the chatbot era. If you're a founder building AI, or building with AI, or scaling a product with too many features and too few hands, this episode is for you. And if this episode lights up your founder brain the way it did mine, join the newsletter at aiforfounders.co. It's where the real behind-the-scenes conversations happen. If AI is rewriting your roadmap, your workflows, and your sanity, the newsletter will keep you ahead of the curve, not under it. Every week I drop the playbooks, tools, and frameworks the smartest founders are using, so subscribe to the newsletter at aiforfounders.co and steal them shamelessly. And if this episode gave you even one good idea, you could repay me with the ancient ritual of tapping 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. It takes 2 seconds, and I will love you forever. This episode is brought to you by Kitcaster, the platform that gives founders their #1 unfair advantage getting talked about. Because here's the truth. Nobody builds a category in silence. Nobody raises it around quietly, and nobody becomes the go-to voice in their market by posting twice a week on LinkedIn and praying. Kitcaster books founders on the world's best podcasts, the shows your customers already listen to, trust, and binge. Host-read conversations, long-form credibility, thousands of targeted ears hearing your story straight from you. This is how you build authority, this is how you build demand, and this is how you make sure your competitors stay unknown and you don't. Whether you're raising, hiring, launching, or scaling, Kitcaster puts you in the rooms that move the needle. So if you're ready to turn conversations into customers, head to kitcaster.com and apply. Thousands of founders have done it. The smart ones don't wait, they get loud. That's Kitcaster by Moburst. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're not drinking coffee anymore. We're drinking matcha. We're not doing Nike Techs anymore. We're doing quarter zips. All right, we're elevating. And today we have Alex and Andy from Quarterzip.ai. How's it going, guys? Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks so much. Pleasure to be here, Ryan.
I've got our quarter zip right here. This is the quarter zip we're giving away for anyone who wants to trade in their Nike Tech fleece.
Nice.
Catch me on the street, Ryan. You catch me somewhere on Market Street here in San Francisco. I'll buy you a matcha. Just come up to me. I'm very, very friendly.
You got it. Now, before we get into it, the timing of that meme had to be impeccable. When did you see that start to blow up?
Oh, we saw that about a couple of weeks ago. As soon as that started, we had our marketing guy on the case. He was started printing the quarter zips. We obviously have our lovely jumper that we've been handing out. And before you know it, it's gone pretty viral. So I have people regularly reaching out to us, asking us for one. I've got every single one of my family members asking me every time they see a Quarterzip meme on Instagram if that's got something to do with my business or if I started it. Unfortunately, I can't claim credit for the whole meme, but we'll ride that wave undeniably. So very exciting.
It's great. I mean, it's just such a hilarious meme, largely because I have a 16-year-old son. You know, he's a junior in high school. He wears a lot of Nike Techs. So, I'm like, hey, you know what you're getting for Christmas, man? Quarter zips.
Hey, you want to save some money, Ryan? You send us one of these Nike Tech fleeces. I'll send you a quarter zip. All right.
All right. That's a deal. You heard it here, folks.
That's how we run it over at Quarter Zip. We do a trading program.
You make out like a bandit. Those the Nike Techs are not cheap.
They're not, man. They're not. And I'm telling you, we've got some high quality quarter zips. So it's, it's a fair trade.
Love it. Amazing. Okay. So excited to get talking about your Quarterzip company. I know you just launched a couple of weeks ago, but let's start out and talk about you guys, your co-founders, how you differentiate kind of roles and responsibilities, and how the partnership came together.
It's outside of high school mates. We've known one another for about 15, 16 years at this rate. And I think there's a lot of trust that builds over that time. Like it's kind of like an old married couple running the company. I think for a lot of employees, they're sitting there going like, these guys, they're bicker or they're fully in love and things are working out well. We go on the roller coaster on it. But I think it's actually like the sense like really high context across what both of us are doing. Like we're probably 80% in one another's business most of the time. And that's like to either be a support role or fundamentally going like, hey, there's a sparring partner for that work. We divide now, given the fact that I'm in Australia, Alex is in San Francisco, obviously travel between both regions a lot, but for us, product is really centralized in Australia. And then we're really building out our go-to-market and sales function led by Alex in the US.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Like, as Andy said, we've known each other a long time. There's a lot of context. We've been through one startup already together. We're now on to the second. I think we've had to share plenty of hotel rooms. We've gotten used to each other's annoying traits. It's a good place, I think, for any founder to be, is if you can work with people whom you have a really deep relationship with. But otherwise, I've often been asked, how do you meet your co-founder? It's unfortunately not something that's easily repeatable. Telling people to go back in time and meet their co-founders at school.
Yeah, and it's rare that I have the chance to talk to both co-founders, which is great because, I've had many projects with co-founders, had some good experiences, some bad experiences. Every experience is always going to be challenging, but I wonder, you guys are such good friends. You've done it before. Do you set me ground rules in the beginning? Because everything's high fives and exciting in the beginning, but boy, it gets into the trenches. So is there an escape clause? Have you guys talked about like if things go south, then XYZ happens?
You want to know something? What Andy actually started recently has been a mandatory coffee chat, which has been working wonders. We're on different time zones. Thankfully, and this is a good little piece of advice for anyone in your audience who's considering running a multinational technology company. There's not that many good time zones you can operate across from San Francisco, but one of the few ones is actually Australia. So, and he wakes up and gets a coffee. I get a coffee after lunch and he gets coffee in the morning. And we do that. We actually do that once a week just to essentially just, shoot the breeze, just talk. And that's actually important, I think, for people to have a relationship that exists outside of work. Andy, what do you think?
Yeah, 100%. Like as you build out a company, and we're about 14 on our way plus people wise now, so many of the meetings can get operational, which is it's like, hey, what's the task list? Are you doing this? Am I doing that? And so the idea of like, are you working in the business or on the business? And most of like the in-business meetings are the ones you're having every single day between 9 to 5. But the on the business ones are like when you have dinner with your co-founder afterwards and you're like, hey, why are we making these decisions? Why are we doing this? Like, do we even think that's logical? Is it just because like it's the thing that we're consumed by right now and we're trying to react and respond rather than thinking through, actually, is there a different way for us to approach this? And that's like the idea of the coffee chat, especially kind of mandating it between regions is like, we can't do dinner together. If Alex is going to have dinner with me, he'd be asleep. So finding that time to be that's actually, hey, it's unstructured. It's what's going on in your mind, what's on my mind, actually is where you progress the business the most.
That's really smart. They say that like your best ideas come when you're in motion or you're in water. But I feel like the best relationship builders are when you're just chopping it up. You know what I mean? And, having lots of partners, also being married for a certain amount of time, it's the trash time. It's not quality time. Quality time, all right, we'll go through a quarterly analysis. It's just when you're like, dude, let's throw around ideas and have fun. That's when I think among people, that's when like the good ideas can start to emerge.
Absolutely. I think like what we've noticed is like, it's a bit of a shower thought from time to time. Undeniably, you get those really valuable nuggets. But I think taking time to step back, as Andy said, look at the business from the standpoint of its totality rather than the incremental parts that we're working on. it's very hard, I think, to actually find that time with your co-founders generally. And allotting time to do that is super valuable. And it's actually when you discover stuff like, maybe we're under investing in this part of the business, or maybe the reason we're stressed about this is because we've set a goal that doesn't make sense, or whatever it might be. Like, you can start to actually diagnose the why behind certain things. And that why is very, very valuable.
Yeah, 100%. And Alex, how did you find yourself in San Francisco?
Mate, how can one not find at least one of us in San Francisco, given that we're in the AI business? The story is quite interesting. For our last company, we actually came over here to start selling the product. So I came over here essentially as at the start of our go-to-market team. And when we sold that company, it kind of made a lot of sense for me to stick around and start doing go-to-market for Quarterzip. And I've been here now for about 7 months. And it's been incredibly valuable being here, both for myself personally to meet amazing people, but super valuable for the team back in Australia. It's given us access to things we didn't know we would be able to do previously. And it's also been super valuable from a go-to-market standpoint, just to meet all of our respective customers in real life, go to events, etc. So it's been wonderful. Right, it's taken some getting used to being Australian and being over here in San Francisco. It's a little bit different from back home. You can see, for one, the weather's a little different. I'm used to a barbecue at Christmas outside with my family. It's looking pretty cold. Andrew's over in Melbourne. It's looking beautiful and sunny. So we're still getting used to some of the ways of life here, and it's definitely a different business culture. And that's been fascinating as well for me to learn.
Yeah, what is Santa Claus's attire in Australia? Is he like in shorts and stuff?
He wears shorts. Yeah, he's got red shorts. Yeah, he's got red shorts. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, and your last company was Redactive, is that correct?
That's right.
Okay, and that company was acquired. Any details you can share about the acquisition?
Yeah, mainly in the fact that we recognize that building the AI security space, that security is a market where, especially in the US, it's buy one product, replace 3. And when you're in that environment, you actually need to have an incredibly big platform play in order to grow that business. So we had a really strong feature set around AI security. And what we actually started to do was look at partners in the data security space that we could go into big deals with in order to adopt our software, grow the business. And what fundamentally ended up happening is people went, this is a really valuable thing that you've been able to unlock around AI security. We actually want to buy you, not partner with you. And that naturally became the next progression step of that journey. So that's how we were able to meet Record Point. They had a big platform offering, and just naturally kind of slipped into their overall portfolio features.
Amazing. So cash deal, you walk away scot-free, hand it over, new project.
Yeah, that plus an agreement to make sure the customers were happy and well transitioned. And we were able to move on.
Incredible. What was the cash offered up for the close?
We unfortunately can't talk about the deal.
Oh, come on, guys.
I appreciate you're a shot there, Ryan, but that one was all signed away between us and Record Point.
Cool. I'm assuming it was pretty good. And it looks like you guys turned around immediately and started Quarterzip. Now, is this an idea that's been brewing? Why the urgency?
I think we had found this problem to be, burning for us when we were running our previous company. So Quarterzip naturally just made a lot of sense. And maybe I'll just give a quick briefing of what Quarterzip is to your audience. Quarterzip is an AI onboarding agent. The simplest way of thinking about it is it's a conversational screen share. You share your screen with Quarterzip and it onboards you onto respective B2B SaaS products. And the value of that solution architecture is it enables you to be able to be onboarded across any number of products with no engineering integration. And what we found when we were running Redactive was that we were spending a long time onboarding our customers. And the reason why was because oftentimes we had to connect things up to our product, and it involved AI, it involved a variety of security approvals. There was a plethora of things that was going on that was really challenging. And this had also existed in our previous work as well, when we were at Atlassian was hard to onboard onto, using Jira was difficult, and there was a plethora of people involved in getting people onboarded onto Jira. So we knew the space of onboarding was really tough, we knew implementation engineering was this really large and growing sector that existed because products were becoming more complicated and more featureful. And we came up with this novel idea of the conversational screen share from our own experience. And we went ahead and built that essentially immediately afterwards because we knew that it was burning for other people as well. We actually ended up interviewing about 150 founders of companies after we sold Redactive, and we found that they all had the exact same problem. The number one problem for them was, how do I improve my activation rate and how do I reduce my time to value? That was a number one thing that people would raise with us. So we knew that this AI onboarding space was super important for us to hit, and that's how we got started.
Incredible. It looks really cool. Let me reiterate that. So you share your screen and then like a little agent pops up, and it's a voice agent. So it talks to you. Now, this isn't completely this. Well, it has precedent before because everyone's seen the screen goes gray and it's pointing you to like positions to go on the screen. And everybody immediately X's out of that because you're like, dude, I just got here. Like, let me check it out. But with this, it's going to be more intuitive and more welcoming, largely because first to value. So you're like, it's like, oh, I can tell that you're looking for XYZ. Let me help you with that. Boom, boom, boom. And kind of pushes you along in more natural kind of way.
Yeah, spot on. This isn't a product tour. This is like giving every single customer their own CSM or their own implementation engineer or their own change manager. And it can teach them how to use a product, but it can also get them onboarded. It can help them when they're struggling, when something's going wrong, if there's an error. There's just a plethora of ways that this product can really solve for people's challenges when they're looking to get activated and adopted into a particular piece of software.
What's up, everybody? Let me hit you with some math that will blow your mind. A wealth manager using warmstart.ai grew their assets under management by 8.5 million in 3 months. Their monthly fee, $500. That's a 1,700% return on investment in 3 months. And I get it, another AI tool, another monthly subscription. But here's what makes Warmstart different. It's not trying to find you new people to bug, it's helping you reconnect with people who already know you. As a founder, your biggest asset isn't your product or your website, it's your relationships. But most of us are terrible at nurturing them systematically. Warmstart connects your email, identifies warm contacts, and helps you craft personalized outreach that doesn't sound like a robot wrote it. The best part, you review every message before it goes out. No automation without permission. If you're ready to stop leaving money in your inbox, try warmstart.ai. Use code AIFF for $50 off your first month because the ROI on your existing relationships is probably better than any investment you'll make this year. That's warmstart.ai and use code AIFF. This episode is brought to you by Moburst, the AI-first growth engine trusted by iconic startups like Calm, Robinhood, Reddit, Uber, and Google. Moburst is a digital full-service mobile-first marketing agency that helps companies to scale and become category leaders. Whether you're finding product-market fit or ready to accelerate growth, Moburst delivers creative, data-driven solutions that help with scale and efficiency and impact. At Moburst, we're not just guessing what works, we're predicting it. As an AI-first agency, Moburst uses cutting-edge tools to analyze user behavior, adapt creative in real time, and uncover hidden growth opportunities. The result, marketing that's faster, smarter, and built to convert. From early-stage startups to global brands, we've helped hundreds of companies overcome complex challenges, unlock new audiences, and optimize every metric that matters. At Moburst, we believe that creative thinking, advanced technology, and data are the core drivers of success at scale. If you're serious about scaling your business with precision and purpose, it's time to talk to Moburst. Visit moburst.com and let's build something category-defining together. Yeah, I'm thinking of so many use cases that I would love to use this. Now, it's the choice to make it an AI voice agent seems very intentional. Why not chat? Why not text?
Yeah, people say a lot more over a voice chat and are far more honest about their intentions and goals and their frustrations as well. So we found that our actual calls are about 14 minutes long, which is a long time for someone to talk to an AI agent. Sometimes who's going to talk to this thing? And because we've worked out a system here where we keep your hands on the keyboard, you're in the product, you're speaking about what your goals are, and then the agent is responding going, okay, to achieve that goal, here's the things that you can do inside of this product. Here's how we connect your security software to AWS as like a big, complicated AI implementation job. Or other ones just being like, hey, what's the right permission level I need to set for this new user I want to add to my workspace? Or other kind of things like that. Actually having a conversation about it is the natural way that people do these things. So keeping you focused on your product, not interrupting your workflow, and then having that natural conversation back and forth means that when someone gets frustrating, we actually know it. We can ask the user, oh, were you expecting this to happen instead or something like that? We actually turn activation and onboarding into like 14-minute user interviews. And that provides a lot of value to the product organization that integrates with us and uses our platform, because now they're actually hearing the voice of the customer the first time they get into the product.
100%. And it's also, you're calling it an AI sidekick and cursor. So is that to say that when you share your screen, the cursor actually moves through the screen and shows you where to go and what to do?
So for some of our integrated customers, they can also essentially automate some workflows using what we call an AI cursor. So, let's say you're having that conversation with the agent and, the agent's like, hey, I'm noticing that you are struggling a little bit. Would you like me to help you out and automate this? The actual AI can then go ahead and click on your behalf as well inside of the respective product. So it's like a very new way of looking at how humans interface with AI from a design standpoint. It's very assistive, it's very educative, and it's very empowering. And I think that naturally speaks to a lot of our customers who are making software products who aren't looking to be abstracted away by a chat window or by some random browser extension. They want people to go into their product that they've spent a lot of time building that makes sense, that people want to buy. And they want to make sure that they can assist their customers and turn them kind of into give them those superpowers to make sure that they're going to be successful in that product. And that's what Quarterzip really lets customers do.
Let's talk about your customers a little bit too, because this seems to be like most beneficial to maybe the software companies that are most threatened by AI, actually, because a lot of the big enterprise, just massive software companies have so many features that's where I personally get frustrated. If I'm like on TikTok and it's like, how do I see the videos that my son shared with me? I don't know how to punch the right microscopic icon to get there. Or HubSpot. I mean, HubSpot has, God only knows how many features. I'm like, how do I change my calendar? Like, you know what I mean? Like, So onboarding is one aspect, but also for like these big enterprise software companies, like you almost need like a guided tour to get around, even if you've had them for years.
100%. And I think like to frame this out, there's this foundational myth right now in building software companies, which is like, hey, me and my mates can all get together and we can build $1 billion business together with 5, 6, maybe 10 of us in total. The challenge is for certain industries, if you're on fintech, health tech, others that have more complicated flows we need to integrate into an existing stack of tools, for example. What we're actually finding is that assumption of a small team to scale and build a really big business breaks, because you have to hire a lot of people as onboarding specialists, customer success managers, etc. So your long tail goes from maybe a really key focused team of 10 people, you get into Series A, into Series B, and then you got this long tail of 30 plus customer success managers or onboarding specialists or AEs kind of all piling in to help drive adoption. The thing is, these organizations, when they get to Series A, Series B, they want to keep their talent bar really high inside of the team. So they're happy to hire 2 or 3 CSMs, but not 20, 30. So from our point of view, it's how do we actually assist by building something that's human-like to be able to drive the experience of people so you actually get that long tail effect and remove that busy work away from these people that be doing the job, training that's contextual, that can be accessed 24/7, that's goal-oriented to the end user that's adopting it is kind of the gold standard that we see. And that's kind of the why behind Quarterzip so much about the software. So I say that because undeniably, it's your big companies that have this challenge, and it's very easy. But also, if you're a high growth scaling Series A or Series B business, you have the challenge as well.
Yeah, 100%. It's really exciting because there's just some really novel features here that I really haven't seen before. You know, the cursor thing is really cool. I love to see everything based on voice. And now that you're thinking of, or you're explaining it to me a little bit about, you know, this is it's an extension of what people have always done. So if you call up support, they're gonna be like, all right, man, share your screen. And then they're pointing you. They're like, dude, go over here. So it's something very similar that we're already used to. It's incredible. So as you're kind of building the stack, assuming that this is pretty novel, and also assuming that usually people have chatbots because they can just plug in their knowledge base to fine tune the LLM, and it can like give them detailed instructions of what to do. But this is different, you know, so it is interacting with the screen as somebody's moving in real time. The cursor can be moving around. So when you're onboarding a customer, how is that different? And what are the challenges of like implementing some software like this for a new client?
Well, you'll be happy to hear we use Quarterzip, which is very exciting. We're self-referential in that part. You're exactly right. We need to teach this agent how to use the respective products, and we need to teach the agent, you know, what onboarding means in these companies. And the way that we do that at the moment is by often ingesting a lot of the product information, marketing information about that respective product. But you're also correct in the sense that because this is a novel modality that we're consuming, which is the screen share, we also can kind of do novel things. We can also consume novel information. You know, it's not necessarily required, but you know, it can elevate that respective agent. And that's like, hey, instead of just consuming your knowledge base, why don't you sit down on a call with our agent and teach it how your product works? Like that's a whole new way of thinking about how to teach an agent to do something. Ryan, what if you taught your agent in the same way you instructed your employees? You sat down with them, you shared your screen, and you spoke to them through the product like you do with everyone else, right? This is this thing about how we look at design, right? We look at design, I think, through a different lens. It's very simple to build an AI chatbot that's purely textual, but that's not how we engage as human beings. You know, the main input modality for human beings is their vision, right? It's actually not their speech. You know, I often say to someone, if you want to prove what's the most important sense you have in your body, close your eyes and go for a walk, right? You'll find out pretty quickly, vision is is the main way that we input data into our brains. And so this product natively, you know, is based in looking and seeing and using vision and a screen share to understand what a customer is doing. And because of that, we can do these novel training methodologies that previously were unavailable to a lot of our peers.
Incredible. So that's to say that I have Quarterzip is doing all my onboarding for my customers. We update the software and I'm like, hey, Quarterzip, let me give you a quick tour. We changed some menu options around and it remembers and
spot on. That's right. Right. And if you, and like the way that we frame this in the product as well is like, you know, really abstractly, what's the best way to get your customer to an aha moment is the way that we think about this, which is if you have half an hour with a customer, you're like, hey, I want to show you these capabilities, make sure you know why they work, how they work. And this is the aha moment that's going to keep you sticky to the product. That's the way that you actually instruct our agent. So you have a conversation about like, help them through these things, ask them these questions, make sure that their goals are kind of addressed and help them connect up this third-party tool as well that might take them off platform and back. And that's kind of the job done. And our agent will be respectful of time. Like, the goal is not for these to be never-ending back and forth Q&A conversations. It's actually like, okay, let's have a goal here, just like on a call with an onboarding specialist, CSM or trainer. I've only got half an hour. Let's use that time really effectively. And that's the way that we've thought about building the storytelling and kind of the escalation methods of Quarterzip as well.
Cool. What are some other novel features or important features that we should know about?
I think the two most interesting things on my end has always been the picture-in-picture experience and our call log. I think I'll quickly talk to the picture-in-picture experience. Again, because we consume the screen share as an input, Ryan, as you move across products, we use picture-in-picture, the same thing that's kind of in Google Meet or in Spotify. When you change tab, you'll notice that there's like a little pop-up that appears and it follows you around the browser. We use that same technology to continue to have some screen real estate in third-party products as you're using those third-party products. So a classic example is like, let's say you're onboarding to HubSpot and you need to connect your email, right? So you go to Gmail. Now you're in Gmail. As far as HubSpot's concerned, they've lost you. they cross their fingers and they hope that you figure out onboarding in Gmail, right?
Yeah.
This is a classic problem in software engineering, particularly in large products. Andy used to work on a GitHub integration once upon a time at Atlassian, and I know that for a fact, as soon as that customer clicks on the GitHub button, you lose them. You actually can't control them anymore. So with Quarterzip, what we're able to do is we're continuing to ingest their screen share so we can talk them through GitHub, but we also have this thing, the picture-in-picture experience. And that picture-in-picture experience follows them through these different products, right? And then eventually, once they come back to your product, it's a consistent experience. It's providing you a little bit of screen real estate in those third-party products for you to kind of provide instruction, make sure the customer's not lost, understanding where they're up to inside of the respective onboarding flow. And we've seen that just absolutely resonate with our customers. All of our customers, they see that experience, they see that little thing follow them around, and it's like, excuse the classic quote, but it's free real estate as far as they're concerned. For the first time, they're able to kind of capture that real estate that was unavailable previously. Andy, I'll throw you for the call log if you want to. Talk about it.
Like what we found was like there's just so much valuable information in regards to end user behavior, but then also insights that might be useful to a sales or account team in order to retain or upsell an account through the conversations that we have with Quarterzip. So, for example, you might be running a medical piece of software, and you've got a voice experience, and then somewhere along the line, the agent goes, "Hey, look, we generate all these transcripts out of this piece of software. Where do you put your notes as a clinic or a clinician or a doctor?" And they go, "Oh, well, actually, I don't have anywhere. I just put them into maybe my notes tab, or I write them down by hand." It's actually an upsell moment that we've just identified in that conversation, which is like, hey, maybe that particular med tech startup has an ERP system, or they have some kind of notes functionality or organization system. And we've just identified that there's not a competitor in this space that's in that tech stack for that customer. So it's like, hey, we should let someone know inside of that company to go knock on the door of that company and go, "Hey, we can actually help this clinic out by upselling another feature that's directly kind of in a gap that they've actually self-exposed to us." Alongside the fact that like when people get stuck inside the product and they're lost, we can have a back and forth conversation with them to realign, like what were they attempting to do, or what do they expect the product to do? And then send that as an insight to a product team so that they can go like, "Oh, maybe this is the next best feature. Maybe there's a bug here. Maybe there's an expectation about this flow that we have as the product org, but actually isn't true because how users are operating the software is very different." So it means that we can inform product teams, we can inform sales teams as well, and really focus on being a very revenue-aligned product.
Cool. I love it. It's so interesting. The cross-browser tab AI voice cursor. Dang, that sounds cool. It's interesting too that you had kind of the preliminary idea at Atlassian because they just bought an AI browser, right? So, I mean, that's probably where they're thinking on similar trains, and maybe everybody is, but this seems definitely new. I have a question, largely from personal experience. So, I bought a new house and a new development in June, and it's great, but all the utilities are on apps, and the apps are all terrible. They're like literally the worst UI I have ever seen. I would love this, but just for me pulling around everywhere, it's like, hey, log in and show me where I need to pay the bill, and it just goes through all the browser extensions and do it. So, right now your customer is me, software developer. I have a product. People come in. I am the agent to onboarding for that. But why not make it just agnostic and just go straight B2C where somebody can basically have this kind of experience across absolutely everything?
Yeah, Ryan, I mean, right now there's zero engineering implementation involved in building an agent. So anyone can actually build one of these agents. And to give you an example, I'm sure that there'll be a community one day of people who build agents because they're just sick of the respective, utilities application that they have to deal with. And a empowered guy like yourself wants to do a good community service, so builds a Quarterzip agent for all of his mates to be able to actually fundamentally use that product. We're seeing stuff like that already. We see stuff like, we haven't sold HubSpot yet, but I can assure you we built a HubSpot agent because we need one internally at our own company. So these are the types of things that we're seeing across the board. And again, that lack of engineering integration, the fact that any person can build an agent, it's super empowering. People go and build agents for the things that they need help with and the things that they want to be successful with.
Cool. Talk a little bit about your tech stack. What are you guys using to build the product?
Yeah, and there's some special sauce here, but I think probably the parts to really note out is that we have it's kind of in the name of the product is that we're real-time conversational screen share. And that requires a lot of puzzle pieces of the tech stack to work well, which is we need a dedicated voice track, something that actually is engaging with the end user. The other part too then is we need to be able to consume vision and share that to an AI model in order to actually understand when changes are happening on someone's screen. And that's a separate process that we're running. Additionally to that, there's like the underlying insights modality as well. So our ability to pull out insights from a conversation and then share that back to the team as part of our call log. So I guess the sum of this is it's very easy to kind of quickly build something that looks like Quarterzip that might be able to like barely get through one call using one AI model. What we found is you need to actually cascade this out. And you need to have kind of functional expertise across the board of screen consumption, screen understanding, reasoning, and then to the overall talk track as well that you're running probably through another model. And that's kind of a little bit about how we've come to our architectural decisions to date as well. Also, the final part is the AI space is moving so quickly that we need to be able to leapfrog across different AI providers and models when the best of the best is coming out. Because we need to make sure that if there's Gemini 3 comes out or the next model after that, that we can quickly jump and take advantages of that core system.
Yeah, and I think probably a common criticism of AI products right now is probably the antithesis of good onboarding, which means if it doesn't work one time, it's out. It's just like the uncanny valley of adoption is, they're like, oh, this is awesome until it doesn't work and then it's gone. So like being able to really drill down that makes a lot of sense.
Ryan, one of the ways that we describe internally the quality bar of our design is we talk about Disneyland. When you go to Disneyland, everything has to be perfect, right? Because as soon as Mickey Mouse takes his head off to smoke a cigarette, all the kids start crying. All right. And it's the same with AI. Particularly with a voice experience, then there's a bit of magic to it, right? Like Disneyland, there's a bit of magic to it. And as soon as there's stutters and as soon as things don't work quite right, as soon as the thing breaks down, it's like Mickey Mouse taking his head off. And so, you notice the customers, they don't like it anymore, right? And so that's the level, the quality bar that we kind of have to have. And that's really driven some of those design decisions that Andy's been talking about. You need to be there at the forefront to respond to these new things that are coming out, and you need to have a design that's very flexible because you're going to be changing models, you're going to be changing providers based off latency, quality, all of these different things that are cropping up all the time.
Yeah, which is huge. Like the character of the voice and the latency and stutters and glitches, things like that. How did you guys go about deciding on a voice? Do we get to hear a lovely Australian accent from the AI voice agent?
You'd be amazed. There is a customer requirement of quite a few customers that come through the door. Is they're like, we love this, but that kind of traditional like American AI voice agent voice that's everywhere. They like, can we make this more Australian? Because that's aligned to our brand. And I think that's what we found is like organizations of like, they're very particular about their color palette, how they look at their logo and their typeface. And in voice, it's about like the personality, the tone, the language that the agent speaks. It's actually an extension of their brand. So they're having to look at voice and how it makes you feel as actually a component of like, okay, is this how we're intending to welcome in a customer? So this is actually a thing that we've made fully configurable, is that we know brands are important, but also the tonality, how it speaks, it's language-based language. If you can switch to others, are key things that customers require from us.
Ryan, we've had one interesting request come through as well of mimicking people's voice.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Particular founders have asked us, hey, can you mimic my voice? Which we can look into it, but I do think that's a little egregious when it comes to the ego. But I'll I'll sell it as an upsell in the enterprise tier potentially.
Yeah, you definitely could. I mean, well, Sam Altman got in trouble with that with Scarlett Johansson, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
famously not Scarlett Johansson, as we all.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's definitely not her, and it's totally her.
Definitely
It's
not
like- yeah, I probably would like a woman from Tennessee, that had kind of like a nice southern drawl, kind of walk me through, ease my nerves a little bit when I'm about to lose my mind because I can't get done something, or like a Jamaican from like the 70s.
We it's all available. It's all
I'm
going to
ju-
be available. Don't you worry, mate. We've got everyone cooking on it right now. Brian, as a guy who's just recently moved to the US, I too have become accustomed to the warmth of the South as a cultural icon. I
Yeah,
understand why you'd want a nice Tennessee accent, maybe onboarding you.
it's very soothing, Just it makes you feel like everything's gonna be all right. There's some cornbread on the table. We're gonna have a good time.
Right,
It's
exactly.
great.
Right. Maybe a nice hat.
Cool. How much? How did you finance the project?
Yeah. Well, look, I think from our point of view, like proceeds from our original sale of Redactive is something that we've actually kind of doubled down on into Quarterzip. Plus the fact that we very quickly built Redactive up and we're in a situation where we raised a significant amount of capital. When we approached our investors being like, hey, we've got an acquisition to offer on the table, but we've also got a substantial amount left from our original raises. They're like, look, let's bring this forward. Let's actually use this capital plus what's come from the sale in order to finance Quarterzip. So we're in a really nice situation where we've very quickly been able to get a team up to scale with Quarterzip and have a significant runway ahead of us through the sale.
Significant runway. How much is that?
Over 24 months. And obviously we're aggressively hiring as well. So like any good team, like you're trying to bring that down in order to meet demand of the customers coming through the door.
Can you put a dollar sign on it?
Not really, no.
Man, you're a pro.
I've been
I'm
too well trained in navigating the world to say such answers, but I appreciate the shot, right?
Hey, I've got tenacity for my audience, but I also
like it.
respect
Good.
I respect the maneuverability. Very good. How big's the team now?
It's about 14 people.
14. Incredible. Are you guys I mean, obviously everybody's headcount is very important, but are you making a special effort to be like as lean? We want to be that 20-person billion-dollar company?
Yeah, there's definitely the sense of like what we've learned across the board is like hiring is the most important thing you can do as a founding team.
Yeah.
And that everyone needs to meet Alex and I through that process. They need to meet a number of members on the team if you're going for a technical role. Because fundamentally, it's like you're trying to hire for a type of person that has something that they're trying to achieve through going through the startup process, right? Like you always take a big job, you can make a lot of money working for some great companies in San Francisco and Australia as well in the tech scene. It's like, what do you really want to deeply learn, or how do you want to grow as an individual through your time at Quarterzip that unlocks something that you couldn't achieve beforehand by joining the team? Like, if everything goes right, you go on a Series A, Series B journey, and you potentially build a reputation as being like a leader in your craft. You can't hire 50 of those people. You have to hire a small cohort of those people. And that's why we've really focused on kind of your seniors and principal level hires across the board to have a really small, nimble, fast team.
Cool. And skilled, I'm sure. Amazing. And you guys just launched it very, very recently. So what does go-to-market look like? Where are you finding your first 100,000 customers?
Yeah, great question. Look, we launched on, I think there's a way of working backwards from this. You got to really look for your audience and you got to go where your audience is. For us, our audience were predominantly people like heads of growth, heads of product, heads of customer success management. We found a lot of those people to be on LinkedIn. We did a launch on LinkedIn. We actually booked 250 demos in 48 hours. We got over 500,000 impressions in those 48 hours. That launch was a resounding success. And that alone is what kind of got our business started up off the ground. It was super valuable to do that. And we'll be doing kind of more launches there. But we've found like that our product resonates really well in these channels where people are interested in particular content that is relevant to these job roles. So we heavily lean into content. We heavily lean into, in particular, into written long form content. Seems counterintuitive given AI, but actually, really, really high quality content works very, very well. People are very discerning about their content now. So we've seen that channel to function extremely well.
You bet. When you talk about a LinkedIn launch, was that advertisements? Was that just like basically rallying people around a post and with adding comments and stuff? Because 250 demos off a LinkedIn launch is amazing.
Yeah, we had people just comment on our post. I posted it on my account. We had the team come in the morning. We said we're launching 8 a.m. in Australia time, which is like, people kind of going home in America time. And we got 2,500 comments or something on the post, 2,050 comments. We got an absolute bucket load of impressions. And that was unpaid. That was a free launch for us.
Unbelievable. So, and that was a post on your personal LinkedIn?
My personal LinkedIn, yeah.
Smart.
So,
and LinkedIn gets a lot of trash talk about being the worst algorithm in the business, but boy, when you got a hit, you got a hit.
Mate, it's great. Again, it's complicated. I think any channel where you can get traction is a good channel. Like, as long as your customer's there, and like we've had conversations with a bunch of people. Like, is our audience also on Twitter? I famously don't use Twitter. It is potentially a criminal offense here in San Francisco.
Yeah.
I would be arrested immediately if the police found out. I don't use Twitter, and I just said to people, look, I'm not on Twitter. I don't have a following on Twitter. It's going to be hard for me to be natural in that space, and to really do well there. On LinkedIn, I find that to kind of be the inverse. It's like, hey, I'm on LinkedIn already. I've got a following on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Just go on there. Let's
100%. I mean, LinkedIn's been great for me. So I think that's a really smart strategy. Very cool. Okay. We got a couple of minutes left here. I want to take you guys to the lightning round. You ready for this?
Let's do it.
All right. You guys have the Midas touch. You parlayed the exit from one, took the runway and threw it into another, have a gigantic lunch. Unbelievable. What other ideas can you share with us? We're all founders here. That would be interesting to you in the AI space. If you weren't doing Quarterzip, what would you be working on?
Interesting. Alex, you want to go first?
Yeah. I love video, and I love personalized video. One of the things that we've been noticing, again, Ryan, I love go to market.
Yeah.
Seeing people put their face on videos, people, doing personalized content outreach to people. So, hey, here's your company, here's your brand, here's your product. This is a personalized video for you in a sales tool. Yeah, unbelievable. So I've seen some of these tools coming out at the moment that allow you to take a video and then modify that video using a particular person's product from their website or a particular person's face, so they can understand how something's going to be utilized. That's unbelievable. That's going to change how we sell products, I think, into the future.
Look, I think to add to that, which is like we've been on the security side where there's like, thematics like fear-based selling. You're doing a lot of lunches in order to like build trust inside the big organizations over months before you can actually get a sale. In revenue aligned products that are different from your like cost and compliance based products, things move so much faster. Your buyer type probably is someone that moves really quickly. They're willing to take a bet on a tool. They want to try it out. And that's really advantageous to like creating that momentum early days as a startup founder, which is like, you want to be able to validate and assess like, hey, does this really solve a problem? And can I iterate and go back to that person? And just your access to find people who are go-to-market revenue leaders is a lot easier because they're actually quite outspoken. So from that point of view, it's like, if I would do something again, I would pick something again that's revenue aligned in the cost and compliance space, because my ability to do discovery quickly would be much easier.
Yeah, makes sense. Awesome. What else do I got for you guys? I got so much. Let's say this. What is a special power you have being Australian, you think, that gives you a competitive advantage over Americans?
I've found this, and probably Alex will elaborate, but I remember our first time going to San Francisco a few times. People appreciated kind of just the general honesty and kind of integrity approach I think Australians have, which is we don't have a culture of venture capital and startups that's like as long running as the US. And there's a sense of like tall poppy syndrome. That's what it's called inside of Australia, which is like, don't get too big for your boots, which is, hey, don't oversell what you're doing or where you're at. Speak more honestly about, your progress and what you've been able to achieve. Otherwise, someone will kind of kick you down, being like, you're kind of fantasizing a bit there. And that's very ingrained into the Australian culture. I think the benefit as Australians going to the US, having that mindset is like, yep, still sell yourself. But people find it far more honest and they feel far more trustworthy to be like, okay, cool. You actually are speaking about some of your deficiencies as much as you're speaking about your strengths. And that's endearing, especially to venture capitalists who want to build a very long relationship with you going forward. It's like, if they don't have that initial hit that feels trusting and honest, you're kind of setting yourself up to fail. Alex?
I really like that answer. I tend to agree with it. Like, we're very approachable. I think that people enjoy that as well. There's like a certain novelty, obviously, to being an Australian here in America. You have a funny accent. People think that you're into surfing. I'm actually not much of a surfer, nor would I want to surf here in Northern California. It's freezing. But I think that approachability and again, that honesty makes it very easy to meet people, particularly people from any walk of society, whether they're very, very senior executives, or they're completely normal people on the street. Again, that sense of approachability makes it very easy to meet people.
Yeah. I've been very impressed with all of the Australian founders I've met over the years. And it's interesting because I was speaking to a founder from Germany, and he was explaining how Europe has kind of a crabs in a bucket kind of mentality. Like it's a little bit like out of the box to be entrepreneurial, to be really kind of self-decided. I think what Americans and Australians share in common is we're like, hey man, let's go get it.
Yeah, definitely. I think Australia recent as well in maybe the past 20 years, we've really woken up. I think we've seen some successes. Obviously, Atlassian's been a big success. Canva's been a big success. But we've seen these successes, and now I think like young people, they look at this and they go, hey, entrepreneurship is a great pathway for me to make something with my life and have a large impact. And I think now we're starting to kind of reap the benefits of that.
Amazing. Awesome. Wrapping up here. I know we always like to feature charitable organizations, and you want to give a shout out to the Red Cross, which has got to be maybe the gold standard of NGOs. Any particular reason that the Red Cross came to mind?
You want to know, Ryan? I recently signed up to get health insurance here in America, and it's a very arduous process, particularly for a person who has no idea what they're doing. And part of my health insurance included a life insurance component, and I was required on the form to fill in a beneficiary. And I did not have a beneficiary I could put down in that form here in America. And someone suggested I put down the Red Cross. And I thought that was a wonderful idea because I don't have any kids. My girlfriend lives in Australia. She'll be okay. I thought, what a good idea. Why don't I put down the Red Cross? And I think more Americans, particularly young Americans, no point, leaving your money behind. Might as well give it to a great cause like the Red Cross.
Beautiful. And welcome to the hell that is the American sickness industry.
Thank you. One day I'll figure out how to go to the doctor, but that's not today. Not.
I've spoken with a lot of great people that are working on that. It's a big project. This has been absolutely fantastic. I really appreciate it. Quarterzips. Now, when I was in high school, Quarterzips had a different meaning. Are you aware of some other alternative meanings?
No, if you want to hit us with some, I'm all ears, man.
You come from the metric system, but quarter zip back in the day meant a quarter ounce.
Interesting.
I'm in Colorado. I'll leave it there.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to explain the Quarterzip name to your audience.
Yeah, please. I would love that.
Which is that Alex and I, spending time in San Francisco, what we found was so many people who in business space Like they don't wear suits anymore. And like, it's pretty noticeable that like people are trying to find that next kind of like semi-formal thing that you can wear as a business executive in front of your customers. And we thought, hold up, we're trying to build go-to-market software. Those people are our customers. There's kind of the joke here that people that start companies wear t-shirts, the people that build them wear hoodies. And then the moment you try and get commercial and you're working on how you frame the sale, you start hiring all these people that wear Quarterzip sweaters, run around the city. And we're like, I think that's the name, that garment exactly encapsulates the kind of jobs that we want to do for our customers.
I love it. It's brilliant. And it's so true. It's so funny. And it's like who are the icons of the Quarterzip? The Manning brothers, Peyton and Eli Manning. They look good in the Quarterzip,
They do. We got to get them in for a sponsorship.
Cool. This has been amazing. It's Quarterzip.ai. Where can people connect with you guys online?
Hey, LinkedIn, number one place. Yeah. Add me, or you can add Andrew anytime. I'm Alexander Valente, and Andrew is Andrew Pankovicius.
Incredible. We will,
but there you go.
Yeah, we'll link that in the show notes. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Ryan. Have a good one.
See you guys.
Bye.
Hey, founders, let me ask you this. Are you building with AI or getting left behind by it? If you're serious about scaling smarter, faster, and bolder, you need to check out aiforfounders.co. It's your go-to resource for cutting through the noise and actually using AI to grow your startup. Each week, AI for Founders drops a sharp, no-fluff newsletter, dives deep with expert guests on the podcast, and hosts monthly workshops where you can get your hands dirty with the real tools and strategies. Whether you're pre-seed or Series B and beyond, launching something new, or just staying sharp, AI for Founders gives you the edge you need to win in 2025 and beyond. Hit aiforfounders.co to subscribe to the newsletter, tune into the podcast, and grab your spot in the next workshop. And it's all free. Build smarter, move faster, think bolder with AI for Founders. Now back to the show.